because I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
I'm over winter time. Driving in the hour, it's just.
Yeah, yeah. Ah,
See, I was in this expected. Oh, so you would- I know, I know. Much cheaper than I was. Snuggle up. Hold on.
That's what I look like. Oh, yeah, that's what we're. It's back at the. Just the big ones. It's all the way to go. Yeah, but. You should put it on the. One of the last. And then you find it. It's quick and she did. This is not. What color uniform? It's not green. Yeah. All of it. Oh, you know what? I don't know. No. River Street piece.
But I need it back by.
Oh, well.
That's not.
Well.
It's real quick. You know that. Did you get it? Oh, right, yeah. Oh. Yeah, so that's a good option.
All right, good evening. It's March 4th, 2024, 7 o'clock. This is the time and place for the title commission meeting. I'll call the meeting to order and start the pledge.
Of the United States of America.
All right, thank you. We'll start with the minutes from the commission meeting, February 20, 2024, and public hearing for February 20.
I make a motion to approve.
It's just you and I'll second.
All right, with a motion and a second to approve, no questions, comments, concerns from the board, will move the vote.
Yes.
Yes.
All right. All right, commission report, please.
That you water leaks, where you leak in the playground. Coming to big tomorrow, so. That's a line that's gonna be abandoned.
Elementary school.
Follow the one person. Temporarily fix it. Starting by the summer, it'll be abandoned, but the tire and. Just things like that. Get the police working on finding the guy who ran over the fire hydrant. Hope you get close on that one, so. Well, always something. That's it.
All right, thank you.
No, Josh will have something. Going on.
Okay, modification or approval of agenda. There's a couple of small additions here that came in late. There is a quote for a part for the lift station. And then there's a heating issue in one of the shops, a couple of heaters. And then a over pressure, sure. As long as those are good, that'll be new business, 16, 17, 18.
I'll make a motion to approve with the modification.
I'll second.
The motion is second, of course, some comments, concerns from the board, will move the vote.
Yes.
Yes.
Oops. Second. All right, old business legal, please.
Okay, well, good evening, good
I
to see
think I turned your mic off.
Oh, that's all right, I'm a loud talker anyway. All right, good evening, good to see you guys all in person. I have a couple of items I'm gonna go through this evening. Some of them are just kind of status updates and some of them will be addressed specifically on It looks like this evening, and I'll participate in the reading of that for business, or I'm sorry, new business items 3, 4, and 5. We have two of the ordinances. They'll be on their second reading. We read the first rendition at the last meeting. We didn't hear at the last meeting, at least, if there were any changes. So those remain the same unless through the course of the second reading, we hear something. We also have number 5, resolution 5. I'll assist in reading that. That's a new business item concerning a prospective annexation. And I'll be prepared to have whatever discussions we need on that topic for now. I would note that that's the first leg of the annexation process. I know sometimes that's confusing to community members, so be happy to participate in any questions that arise out of statutory process for annexation tonight. It's a little bit different, not something we routinely do. So I'll be ready for that. You will also note at item number 6, we have the Williams County Jail contract. I think Abby shared that in distributing the commission packet, but I did work with Josh and Sheriff Berlin Cavandy, both good to work with. I think that's in fit form based on our communications with Berlin. So in his absence, I will thank Berlin for his time and efforts in making sure that came together okay. And as always, we appreciate their assistance on behalf of local law enforcement. I will note for you all too, that we have an upcoming conversation regarding annexation matters with KSI that's tentatively slated to occur at the April 15th meeting. There's some correspondence on, I think should have reached you or will reach you prior to the April 15th meeting. So put that on your radar and we'll follow up as needed. We have had some communications regarding community center matters that are presently in court. I would expect at the next meeting or perhaps the meeting thereafter, there are likely to be some conclusions. I had hoped that we would have an update sufficient to provide you a conclusion this evening, but I expect that it will be in the next meeting or two. So hopefully we can put that to bed, but we'll see. I think we're close. We've already gone over, let me see here. Oh, two more things. We had talked about, and there's a spot for it actually, I think it's number 13. So I don't want to get too far ahead of myself. And I think we're on the same page there, but Abby can correct me if I'm wrong. We've been talking about reforming some parcels or creating some parcels. I would like to ask the commission this evening, and I don't even know that I need a formal motion, but part of that process requires the preparation of abstracts for me to review title if we're going to replat and then ultimately hope to do something with those properties. I wouldn't be so concerned with that. I can, of course, do a title. My concern was that it can be somewhat expensive to secure abstracts, and we don't believe that we even have like updated abstracts. So I just want authorization from the commission tonight to get those estimates so that you guys have a clear idea. I think how many parcels was it, Abby? Was it 12? 10?
14 to 15
It's 14 to 15
in that range.
in that, okay. And we weren't too, and that's what I thought. I thought it was over 12, but I couldn't say for sure. I mean, ballpark, just so you guys know, total ballpark, don't hold the abstract or to it, but I would bet even for the surface abstracts built from scratch, I would be very surprised if each abstract came in under 1,000. I mean, that's just kind of what it costs. So if you guys are good with it, I'll get the estimate, tender it to Abby, and I'll just have you review it. But I wanted to make you aware of that, that would be part of the project, and that would probably be the most expensive aspect of the cost from a legal standpoint. So I didn't want to surprise you down the road. If that's something we need to do to complete that work, and it probably is. So maybe put that on your radar and think about it, and I'll get a quote. I don't think I need a motion to get a quote, but I wanted to make sure you guys were aware before I went around, sniff that out. Finally, it's been some time since I have updated my contract. Obviously, there will be reorganization and reappointment proceedings in July. In the intervening time, however, I've submitted another contract. That's my habit. I try not to do that, but about every 3.5, 4 years to keep costs low. So certainly when it's the appropriate time in the meeting, I would ask that you guys review that if it seems satisfactory to approve it so I can continue working. I think other than participating throughout the meeting at various points, those most likely that I've identified so far on the agenda and others as they may come up, that's all I have to share for now.
So
old business number one also includes the contract, as it was, the board had an opportunity to review it.
Yeah.
Okay. Can I get a motion? Either way,
Yeah, I would make a motion to, are we just making a motion to approve the contract? Okay. I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
all right, with the motion to approve in a second, no questions, comments, concerns from the board, we'll move the vote.
Yes.
Yes.
All right, so moved.
Thank you. Yes. Thank you, Liz. Absolutely.
All right, was that it? That was perfect. And you'll chime back in on 13, right?
Yes, I will.
Number two, economic development update.
Sarah, Wagner usually gives updates. However, this month, since we've had, low staffing, for the last 3 months, she's been helping us at, during the admin part. She's been helping City Hall stay afloat. That should change the 11th February is coming back on the, so, she will resume her regular job duties as economic development. She is, however, she has been, doing some trainings, and, she still is continuing, to talk to, some community members or, businesses. As you know, things are happening. One of our restaurants is closing, so we do have a big concern there. There's nothing we can do about the restaurant closing. We've already spoken to them, but, she did reach out and to correct that, see if there's anything the city can do to help out to keep it open. So there is no update other than for now.
Okay, thank you. All right, new business, ordinance 2024-01, update charter 20 trees, second reading.
All right, so I'll help out here. Ordinance number, this will be the second reading, ordinance 2024-01, an ordinance supplementing and amending chapter 20 trees of the City of Tioga ordinance and ordinance governing trees. Be it ordained by the City Commission of the City of Tioga, North Dakota as follows. Chapter 20 trees, Article 1 trees. 20.0103, authority and jurisdiction of the city forester. The authority and jurisdiction of the city forester shall be as follows. Number one, the city forester shall have the authority and jurisdiction for the board to regulate the planting, maintenance, protection, and removal of all trees on streets and other public places to ensure safety or preserve the aesthetics of such streets and public places. Number two, the city forester shall have the authority to make known with the approval of the tree committee, the rules and regulations of the arboricultural specifications and standards of practices governing the planting, maintenance, protection, and removal of trees. As specified in the streets and public areas of Tioga, the city forester shall have the authority to supervise all work done under any permit issued in accordance with the terms of this ordinance. Before any person may plant a tree in any boulevard, public way, he shall have or obtain prior authorization or permit from the City of Tioga Service Director. The types of trees that can be planted and the location for trees shall be determined by the City of Tioga in accordance with the standards established by the City Commission following the guidelines of NDSU, North Dakota State Forest Service recommended trees for North Dakota communities. Number 5, trees shall be planted on the center line between the curb line at the front edge of the sidewalk. Where the sidewalk does not exist, at least 5 foot allowance will be made along the property line to accommodate future sidewalk construction. In no case shall a tree be planted within 3 feet of the curb line. All trees placed hereafter on the boulevard of the city shall be planted by and at the expense of the owner abutting the lands thereon. Such trees not planted or provided for under 20.0303.4, that was the bit I just read, will be removed at owner's expense. End of ordinance, prospective date, signed by commission president, attest by author.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
All right, with the motion and a second to approve as read, and the questions, comments, concerns from the board, will move the vote.
Yes.
Yes.
Ordinance 2024-02, update chapter 10, animal and fowl, second reading.
Okay. Ordinance number 2024-02, an ordinance supplementing and amending chapter 10, animal and fowl of the City of Tioga ordinance and ordinance governing animals and fowl. I do see a correction there, commission members in the header. should read animals and fowl, as I've read aloud. So we'll make that correction for reading purposes. Be it ordained by the City Commission of the City of Tioga, North Dakota, as follows: Chapter 10, Animal and Fowl. Article 1, Dogs and Cats. 10.0102, Raising and keeping of animals generally. It shall be unlawful to keep any live animal within the city limits except as described in this article. Number 1, the following animals may be kept within the city limits of Tioga. A, domestic dogs and cats pursuant to the provisions of this chapter. B, common indoor pets such as aquarium fish, non-poisonous reptiles and amphibians, and other common indoor pets and animals such as hamsters, mice, birds, which animals shall remain indoors at the owner's residence or business, and up to two pet rabbits and their offspring until the offspring are not dependent on the mature animal for survival, which rabbit shall be kept in an outdoor hutch, and pen, which is sanitary and kept odor-free. C, a horse, a mule, a jackass, a goat, or other animal kept as a family pet may be kept within the following zoning districts: agricultural, provided there is a minimum of 1 acre available for the first 4 animal units and no more than 1 additional animal animal unit per acre of land over 5 acres. And I do see 1 typo there too. We'll adjust that number accordingly for reading. D, the city commission by resolution may allow temporary or seasonal keeping of animals or livestock when the city commission determines that it is in the best interest of the city to allow such keeping of animals within city limits for a seasonal or temporary duration not to exceed 6 months. The city commission may, by resolution, after notice to the property owners within 150 feet of the applicant's property and after public hearing, allow the use of agricultural property for livestock purposes on such conditions as the commission deems appropriate. It must be stated in the resolution that such use is of lower priority and may be terminated by the commission at any time, and the commission shall terminate such use if any problem with the health, safety, odor, or noise develops, regardless of the fact that the adjacent or surrounding development moves to an area where such use is being allowed. F, any animal for exhibition or display purposes such as fairs, circuses, animal displays, or special exhibitions, which displays or exhibitions do not exceed 7 days annually, including the use of horses and other trained animals in parades. G, permitted fowl shall mean chickens. Roosters shall not be allowed. Ducks, doves, pigeons, or quail are permitted pursuant to this section. Any individual may maintain, keep, or house permitted fowl for non-industrial, non-commercial purposes within the city limits in residential zones R1, R2A, MHD, and R2M only, subject to the following limitations and conditions. Individual has obtained letters and provided the city from all owners of real property located within 50 feet of the exterior of the real property boundary of the property where such permitted fowl will be maintained, kept, or housed. The individual has applied for and obtained a permit from the community service director or the director's designee for the permitted fowl. In his/her determination of whether to issue the permit, the director or designee shall consider the impact of noise, odor, sanitation, and public health, safety, and welfare upon neighboring properties, the neighborhood, and the city. The total number of permitted fowl that may be maintained, kept, or housed at any one location shall not exceed 8. A permit issued in accordance with the section shall expire on December 31 of each year in which the permit is issued and may biannually, every other year, be renewed, provided that the requirements of limitations and conditions set forth therein are satisfied. The director or designee may revoke or permit issued under this article when it is determined that any requirements, limitations, or conditions for issuance of a permit are no longer complied with, or it is determined that maintaining a permitted fowl has become a public nuisance as described in 10.0205. Except otherwise provided in this article, any person who owns or keeps at any time within the city limits any unauthorized fowl of any kind shall be deemed guilty of maintaining a public nuisance of such fowl if it is not removed from the city limits within 10 days after notice. Each day's continuance of such a nuisance shall be deemed a separate offense. 10.0205 nuisance, when and penalties. Number 1, the animals exhibiting the following behavior should be considered a nuisance. A, excessive, continuous, or untimely barking, howling, braying, crowing, or other sounds common to its species, or by reason of failure of the owner to maintain all structures, pens, coops, or yards wherein any animal or fowl is kept in a clean and sanitary condition, devoid of rodents and vermin, and free of all objectionable odors. B, molesting passers-by. C, vehicles. D, habitually attacking other domestic animals. E, trespassing upon school grounds or trespassing upon private property. F, damaging property by a dog or cat, if hereby declared to be a nuisance. G, not having a valid license or collar. H, dog or cat droppings in private or public places. 2, the owner of a dog, cat, fowl, or other pet mentioned in this chapter that is in violation of this section may be cited for an infraction upon receipt of a signed complaint, or if the violation was in view of an animal warden and or police officer. The penalties for such violation are as follows: A, first offense, a $50 fine; B, second offense, a $100 fine; C, third offense, a $150 fine; D, fourth offense, said animal shall be forfeited to the city and shall be entered into an adoption program if applicable, or humiliated destroyed. Dated this date, City of Tioga, President Litton, protest auditor.
I'll move to approve.
I'll second.
All right, with the motion and a second, questions, comments, concerns on board, we'll vote.
Yes.
Yes.
All right, next is going to be resolution 2024-03, annexation of Hess. Really quick, I do have one question before we get into that. I know there's going to be a public meeting, a public hearing set. I know you said you would be available for questions. Those questions that are going to come up tonight, or should they be held to the public hearing regarding all of this? Because this is just the beginning stages and just a reading
Yes, and I think that's
of a
a good
resolution.
clarification to make you right pursuant to statute. When I said I would entertain questions, I just understood that there was some crowd drawn and they didn't know what leg of the process we were on. We're on the very first leg, and there will be correspondence, there will be publication of the
Right.
resolution, and there will be a public meeting held on that for comment, consideration, and
Either way, for or against. So there will be a public meeting held in regards to this.
yes,
So this is just a mere reading of statutory
yep,
requirements.
yep, this is just
Okay.
the very first step, yep.
Can we rebut?
Yeah, well, I was gonna say, I do have one question, if I may.
That's up to the commission president.
May I just, I was just wondering, is it,
Can you please come up there and take one?
very remember, Williams County? I was just curious as if it was a request by Hess, or is this gonna be a forced annexation by the city?
Well, we hope that it won't be forced.
Well, I mean,
But
so obviously, it wasn't a request by the,
no, it's not,
Okay.
it's not a Hess sponsored request.
okay,
It's
well, I was,
by city petition.
Yep.
But just so you know, we've been through the rodeo before and actually it ended in agreement. I don't know how this will end. That's why this is just the initial stage of the process, but annexation entails a number of steps, including sometimes mediation. And so hard to know where it'll go, but we want to get that dialogue going.
Right, and I really want to make sure that we have that public hearing, so
Yep.
this is the first portion.
Yep.
Are you gonna read that?
I sure will.
Just,
Go ahead.
can I say something?
Sure.
Just as I understand it, before I even got on the commission, when I first got on the commission, there has been an agreement that was made in 2017 that there would be a delay, and then there would be an annexation eventually. And Hess agreed to that, was my understanding.
well, I guess I agree with what you just said, but from what I been told that, they were not in agreement to be annexed to the city. So anyway, I was just curious as if it was a request by them, or if it was gonna be
A discussion.
It is. Capital Waters?
I mean, they can either request to be annexed, or the city can force an annexation, but then ask lawyers and judges and all that business.
Right, and that's another good point for this public hearing, because if they can have a conversation, I mean, depending on what all transpires on both sides.
Yep.
Then
Should I speak now?
sure.
Chuck Stewart, the chairman of Tioga Township, and we've been dealing with this issue with the township, and we're not confused, Miss Penland, since 2014 that I remember, and it's been going on before that. Tioga Gas Plant equals 75% of the SS property in Tioga Township, so it's most of it. The SS property, including the gas plant, equals $30.2 million. And if Tioga Township was to lose the gas plant, we drop down to 6.2 million. Today, Tioga Township levies 3.15 mils. And with the loss of the gas plant, we'd have to jack it up to 15.3. which equals, a taxable property in Tioga Township, equaling $200,000 would have to go up, 206% on the township line on the property tax, which would go from, basically $28.30 up to $109 per year for $200,000 property value. And, being on the board, and there's more board members here, and, as we answer questions to, why the township, portion of the property tax went up so high, we will, turn it over to you all. So, any questions?
Not at this point, I don't believe so. Thank you, sir.
Okay, and we'll just say before I read this, all of those thoughts I think would be appropriate to share at public meeting. And so anyone who's interested, whether they're an adjacent owner, whether they're just a citizen, whether they represent a township, they would be welcome at that meeting, and that would be the appropriate time, I think, to delve into that. But I do appreciate the history, and I appreciate you sharing that. Okay, so I'm gonna read you resolution, if I don't go blind first, 2024-03, which is dated March 4 of 2024. It reads, be it resolved by the City Commission of the City of Tioga, Williams County, North Dakota. It is the desire of the City of Tioga pursuant to section 40-5102-03 to annex in the limits of the City of Tioga to extend municipal government to areas which form a part of the whole community, to encourage natural and well-ordered development of municipalities of the state, and to recognize the interrelationship and interdependence between a municipal corporation and areas contiguous or adjacent thereto. The proposed area for annexation is the south half of the southeast quarter of section 23, semicolon, the west half of the northeast quarter of section 26, semicolon, the northeast quarter of the northeast quarter of section 26, except sublot 7 of said northeast quarter of the northeast quarter. Semicolon, sublot 1 of the west half of the southeast quarter of section 26, semicolon, all located in township 157 north, range 95 west of the fifth principal meridian, Williams County, North Dakota, containing approximately 186.46 acres, more or less. Pursuant to the regulations for annexation of the North Dakota Century Code, a public hearing shall be scheduled for April 1, 2024 at 6 p.m. at the Tioga Commission Hall at 16 First Street on Wheelo side, Tioga, North Dakota 58852, at which time any and all landowners shall have the right to protest and or to agree to the annexation. And it's prepared for a motion, a second, appropriate record keeping.
Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
All right, with a motion and a second, and keep in mind that there will be a public hearing on April 1st, 2024 at 6 p.m. here at the Commission Hall. No question, comments, concerns from the board. We'll move to vote.
Yes.
Yes.
So moved. All right. Number 6, Williams County jail contract.
Okay, recently, several months back, Sheriff Long reached out to me. He's been establishing a jail contract amongst the different entities that utilize the Williams County Corrections Center. Part of that obviously would be the Williston Police Department. I'm sure Ray Police Department has gotten this as well. In essence, what this contract defines is, should we book an individual into the Williams County Corrections Center, who's responsible for the daily fees associated with housing that inmate? It also covers the responsibility of the respective agency. The respective agency as to who would provide medical care for these inmates during particular times, and who would be responsible for some of those medical costs. In essence, through discussions between Liz, Sheriff Quandy, and myself, it sounds as though the contract that we're looking to get approved by the commission tonight will, in essence, be the same manner in which we've been operating for the past number of years. What we got to find out of this deal is that charges that are arisen from Tioga and are maintained through district court will be the responsibility of Williams County to cover the costs of housing that inmate. And then any charges in which we book an inmate into Williams County Correction Center where those charges are maintained in municipal court, then the city of Tioga would be responsible for those charges. So in summary, that's what this contract outlines. Can't remember what the daily fee is. I think it was around $85 or no. It said $75, and I think it went up to $85 after a certain point. Yeah, $85. So I'm looking for approval to get this contract taken care of.
I mean, I think that appropriately, Josh has appropriately described it, and we've had conversations with the sheriff. We do have a written record, I think, identifying any of what Josh and I might have considered ambiguities. I don't think Berlin was ambiguous about it, and his view of it met with what we hoped it said. I think they were trying to remain consistent with the agreement we've already had. I think it helps to have contractual agreements. If there's any question about who's responsible for what, I think it's helpful to have that in place. Appreciate you being thorough, Josh. You spotted more than I did in there, and so I think it's in good shape.
I'll make a motion to approve.
All right,
I'll second.
all right, with a motion and a second, no questions, comments, concerns from the board regarding that, then move the vote.
Like looks to be in 3 TV dinners.
Yeah, I guess, or bologna sandwiches, one or two,
It's prison a hotel. That's not too shabby.
Yes.
depending on where you stay, it's probably cleaner.
Should be.
Yes.
Yes.
All right. All right, and then number 7 is again, you, Josh, Tioga PD for a 1% application.
Okay, in regards to the 1% application, as many of you guys know, a lot of our funds for equipment and that sort of thing have come from the Williams County Emergency Services 1%. A couple of years ago, they asked me for a 3-year plan as they're winding down that 1%. And part of that plan was to revitalize, or yeah, that's what would be the right word, is to revitalize the range that we have currently, which is an outdoor range on the north side of the dam. The city of Tioga is interested in developing a walking path going around the dam, which we are in support of. We do feel that that would add a good sense of recreation to the community. However, being a part of that committee that is in the planning and designing phases of that, there's a feasibility issue with the use of that land down there. Where that walking path would go would put it right basically at the edge of where our current outdoor range is. With prior experience here in Tioga, and I recognize that that's not going to be a feasible area for us to utilize for that purpose anymore, even if we were to shut down that area. So we don't unfortunately have any land outside of Tioga city limits that we could redevelop an outside range. The preface that is incredibly important to maintain a range for the department where we can go and shoot and conduct our qualifications in an area where we really don't have to worry about seeking permission or, you know, having a risk to the community. So Currently as it sits, we do have, an area over by our impound lot, that is currently vacant. So I guess, suppose this is gonna be a two-part, approval process that I'm looking at. In the packet here, you'll see on the first page there, you'll see a aerial view of our impound lot in the area to the east of our location of that impound lot. That area is owned by the city of Tioga. In essence, what I'm looking to do is develop a facility along the east fence line. That facility would measure, I believe it was about 65 feet by 175 feet in length. It is going to be a multi-purpose facility. I'm trying to seek funding through 1% to fund this facility. But I would in essence need most likely the approval to develop that land, number one. But then number two, I would need approval to send this application to 1%. The total for this, and these numbers are fairly preliminary. I'm not looking to go far beyond this. I'm trying to develop something that's reasonable for the community, for our department, where we're not over asking, but we're being responsible. But this is going to be a project that's going to cost us approximately $5,497,881. What we're going to get out of that, because that is a very, very high number, is we're going to get a 8-bay indoor shooting range. That shooting range is going to be within a concrete box. So you have concrete walls, concrete ceiling. You have zero risk of any of those rounds getting away from us and going where they're unintended. It's going to provide a noise barrier in our community where we can then maintain a range within city limits that's not going to be disruptive to residents or businesses. It's going to incorporate additional garage area that we can utilize when we do conduct vehicle searches. As a result of search warrants that we may get, it'll provide a safe area for our officers to do that without risk of being interrupted, potentially ambushed. It'll include a couple restrooms, additional storage as we plan to take a lot of the storage from our comics boxes out and utilize some storage area. It'll include a classroom, but more importantly, in addition to the range, we're seeking to relocate our animal pound into this facility. So the animal pound is currently connected to the recycling center. The cages inside the recycling center currently are just freestanding 2 cages. One's in pretty tough shape right now as it is. We're really only, we have had dogs that are aggressive towards us that we've put in there. And unfortunately, I think that can cause a risk of injury to the animal and to the officer, because we have to let the dogs out. We have to care for them. We have to clean the kennels. We have to feed them. We have to water them. And when you have aggressive dogs, that makes a very big challenge for us. So this animal pound would give us 3 kennels with indoor-outdoor runs where we can then close a dividing door so the officer can tend to the interior kennel, provide food, water, whatever the case may be. We secure that door and then open the interior-exterior door so the animal can have free rein. But the other issue that we currently are experiencing with our pound 2 is the heater in our animal pound area consistently, when it gets cold outside, drops to, low 40s. And so in some instances, when it's gotten really cold outside, goes into freezing temperatures to the point where we've had to turn the interior water off the facility to prevent any frozen pipes. So the need for this is there. It comes at a cost, and it is a big ask. But I do feel as though it is needed and really is kind of the last major item on our checklist to look into moving into the future.
One question.
Yeah.
If 1% were to shoot it down, do you have a plan B?
For funding, I do not. There are federal grants, that we can look into. Those will take time. We can look into those. However, it's important to note that it's really difficult to sit into these plans for the jogging path. I'm really not willing to give up that area until I have funding secured to do this. Because I can't go back and say, well, I want to be able to use that area to continue to shoot when I have a jogging path.
Would this ever be open to public use at all?
Intent, ideally, likely not. I think that, that would be a good discussion to have with maybe legal down the road, where maybe if that is an idea we want to entertain, liability waivers would obviously have to be something that would come of that. There would be, there would have to be a, range supervisor there to ensure that range safety rules are being followed. And that's going to come at an expense, because now we have to have an officer that would act as a range safety officer that would be there to ensure that all that is properly being followed.
I mean, for commercial purposes though, Josh, but you have, and if I'm wrong, tell me, but I know a lot of the times with the sheriff's department or PD will do hunter safety coursework. I mean, would that serve those kinds of activities if it wasn't purely private and you have the appropriate legal documentation? Would it be?
Yeah, we could utilize it for that.
Additional questions from the board?
No, I just want to bring it. I make a motion to approve.
Approval of land development.
Yes.
So is it possible to do a motion? Tell me if I'm wrong, to do a motion that says we can do land development if this goes through 1% and they approve it. There's no reason to start spending extra money and doing anything to develop land if we're not gonna have any funding.
Right, so I think the permission in terms of that I'm getting is just that I would be able to secure that for that specific project. We wouldn't obviously do anything that would cost any money. Until
Right.
it's secured.
So basically the motion would be then you're moving, Josh had two requirements for the 1% committee, that the board, represent and approve the development of the relevant land subject to the approval of the 1% application. Is that right, Josh?
Yeah, we don't get the approval, I guess it'd be on the plan B, so,
So that is a motion.
yes.
All right, with a motion and a second, no questions, comments, concerns from the board, we'll move the vote.
Yes.
Yes.
So moved.
Thank you very much.
Estimate for community center sign. So. Okay. Since there's a little bit more to this, do you have insight on this?
Yes.
So this is again for the community center sign that we had talked about at the last meeting.
So it was tabled at the last meeting, and since then, the community center director has talked with, the American Legion, and they have agreed, to help purchase the sign. And so they asked her to put in for a grant, so they are willing to, help assist with the purchase of it. So we would pay for it upfront and we would get the portion of the fund.
All right, is there any questions or a motion? Anything? Do you guys want to table it I mean, we can, or we can make a motion. It's you, you're the board.
I just was talking to a gentleman earlier, and he says that there's other options that we can look at for this too. That will be a little cheaper. Maybe we should, we could table it for 2 more weeks.
I'm glad you bring that up, because there will not be a meeting on this 18th. Talked about that last.
Right. Well, I've always wanted to go to once a month, so.
Table it for the next meeting.
Kind of ideas.
Or just other options that are cheaper.
That's smart comment, but I'm going to keep them to myself tonight.
Well,
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, it's probably not gonna be put up for that.
No.
So we do that.
I moved it here.
Okay,
No, it's like,
all right, no questions.
We'll make a decision.
Okay, so it's gonna get tabled, but come forward.
Yes.
yes.
All right, number 9, renaming the streets.
This would be a continuation of, from several years ago, where we renamed the 67th. Yeah, I believe it's 67th there, street from Highway 40 to the airport, but it was at that point determined to stop at the road that goes to the sewer treatment plant. And so those streets were named up to that point. The airport board has approached the city as far as completing the addressing at the airport. And with that, we would need to add the name or the urban name, which is currently Airport Road, or would be Airport Road, the rest of the way to the airport from that Nelson Lane, which is what, goes to the treatment plant. So it'd be going out a mile, I believe it's a mile, to the section line past the airport. Actually, the airport is still on the south side property of that.
I have a question real quick, Dan, are these streets, do they lie within the city?
They are in the ETA.
Okay.
And the treatment plant is the city limits.
Okay.
So it's within the half mile of the ETA.
Have we talked, I mean, I guess I don't care, I think it's fine, provided that we're not stepping on anybody's toes, and I think it's important that you have 911 addressing. I'm sure the county would appreciate that. There's always the need to have correct, particularly at a place like an airport.
I think that's the airport's biggest concern.
That's what I was wondering, if it wasn't a 911 address issue, but I wonder if it's in the ETA, shouldn't we be talking to the county to just,
To verify.
to make sure that we don't have any competition of regulation between our ETA, extraterritorial area, and their county regulation? I don't have an opinion, I just don't want to get into it with the county if we try to rename a street.
I mean, I can make a call or.
Oh, Gary's here.
It's a township road,
Right.
67.
But the county actually is, we're wound up having to. And I was. But there's a reason, there's gonna be some address changes because there's a. They're using different programs, right now, we're currently gonna have to address. People. So you may want to talk with, I would talk with Helen, she seems to be the one that kind of.
I have been in heavy conversation with Ryan, who is the.
Well, it
addressing-
all stems from the GIS.
Right, right. So at least he's aware of it, but I mean, if I need to go to, Helen maybe or whatever.
You can call it anything you want.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know,
I don't know that anybody.
I was under
cares,
this-
don't.
I was with the understanding that our half mile is the city's, pretty much the city's prerogative type of thing. And then the outside,
You don't want to start worried about 911 addressing. Both the city and whether the city DJ or not, you want to be kind of on board together.
right,
That's-
Yeah, so, okay, my only thing is because I know that that area is the county and I would be concerned, I don't want to step on any toes. If we can, if the board wants to make a motion, I'm fine with that, but as long as we have the approval from the county, then I'm okay.
So just conditional approval again, give them the authority, but
So it's up to the board. Do you guys want to table this until he can get a response? Or do you, yeah,
I think Jeff would understand if we tabled it for a little bit, give Dan a little bit more time to reach out.
there is no time limit, there's no rush on this.
right,
It's just that they came in and, you know, the airport and,
well, you could do conditional approval because it's not, it doesn't sound like anybody has strong opinion. We're just trying to make sure that the addresses are correct and we don't, get it.
We have the right.
Right, with the county. So why don't you just conditionally approve it
Okay.
instead of making them bring it back when they,
up to the board.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. I'd approve it, on the conditional, if Dan talks to the people at the county, if they're okay with it, I guess. Something like that.
I would say the only thing the county would have anything.
Right.
It is a township.
So it'll be the township.
the county or township, you can make that the appropriate
The appropriate,
concurrent agency.
yeah. The appropriate parties.
Yep.
Okay, I'll second that.
All right, with the motion and a second, pending the approval from the correct, or I'm sorry, from the additional parties involved. No questions, comments, concerns from the board, will move to vote.
Yes.
All right, so moves, when to sign. Get out of there. All right, gaming sign authorization.
Site authorization for Madhouse LLC from Tioga American Legion.
Did everybody hear that? Okay,
I'll move to approve.
Yeah, I'll second.
all right. With the motion and a second to approve, no questions, comments, concerns from the board, will move to vote.
Yes.
Yes.
All right, so moves. All right, number 11, estimate for vehicle for street, public works and planning and zoning.
So we have, few vehicles that are over, 12 years old, 13 years old, in replacement, they are, in its last legs. One is for the planning and zoning vehicle, that vehicle is an old police department vehicle. So with trade-in value, that vehicle would be, for a new vehicle would be $16,198. And, the water department vehicle is a little more expensive than the utility vehicle. That one with the trade-in is $52,050.
And that's for public works. Is it?
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second. Repairs are crazy costly.
All right. All right, with, motion and a second to approve, no questions, comments, concerns from the board, will move to vote.
Yes.
So moves, estimate for the fence, I'm sorry, estimate for fence fix at the dog park.
We're, seeking permission to, do a fence fix, right where the fence is at. It, gets filled with snow, it's muddy, and if it's just hard, people actually are climbing over, they'd rather climb over than go through the fence. So we wanted to fix it, to be open on another side, we'll still keep that opening. But in order to correct that, the price is $1,600. $691.
That's actually half. It's over 3,000.
Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize. The contract amount, I'm looking. I apologize. The contract amount is $3,382.
Would it be out of the question to make a concrete pad at the entryway so we don't run into this problem in the future? Well, I'm sure concrete costs a lot, but I mean, it's also another,
Yeah, I mean, when, wasn't so bad when we first did it with our grass there, and nothing done on water, it just got worse. and worse. So, and we're planning on leaving that one there. But maybe sometimes, you know, with that water down there, maybe we would do concrete. And so, just for now, you know, we just need a little better access.
okay, is there a motion on the floor?
I thought about doing Kevin and just doing 1,500, 1,500. But it was a little more than that, so that would be completely open. I'd make a motion to.
Contract did look funny. I'll second.
All right, with a motion and a second to approve, no questions, comments, concerns with the board, we'll move to the vote.
Yes.
Yes.
All right, so moves, okay, this is gonna be number 13, this is the parceling out of the, lots for resident. For housing.
I'm seeking permission to parcel, these lots out. We have a parcel of property by Annabelle. We are trying to, right now, we just need the parcel, but what we're trying to get at is, senior housing, low-income senior housing, where we have a contractor come in, they receive these lots, or one lot, two lot at a time, or, no cost to them, and they get a buyer who buys the property, that wants to live in town, for senior at a lower rate. That is the thought process, but to start, we have to have this parcel of property out. So I'm seeking permission, to have more parcels of property out.
And then as Liz was saying, we would have to possibly, or we have to do the abstract, possibly.
Kind of, we'll look, I mean, the problem is that under the ordinance, when you replat, that's what's getting you. By reparceling, that's what we're doing. We're replatting, cleaning up, you know, formally doing that. And technically, under the code, you're supposed to do a title opinion when you do that. Gary's smiling because he knows what I'm gonna say. It happens sometimes that you do something short of a title opinion because the expense of an abstract, and I agree with you, the expense of an abstract and a title review gets to be expensive. However, sometimes that's worth it, especially if we're gonna go into development, right? Because if we don't have clean title and then we pitch these and then people invest in them and it turns around and bites us, that's not lovely. So,
Right. All right,
Yeah, these were all properties that were returned back to us, right?
Right, these were properties that previously were owned, it just seems like it's in a residential area. The city has been trying to figure out, what to do with housing, what is necessary. The one thing that does keep coming up is, housing for senior living, that's low income. And so this would be a good way to utilize these properties, that have been returned to the city at no cost.
so this was for, you're talking about parceling out what would have been marked as sublot 54, right, Abby?
Yes.
Okay, that's a larger tract if you look at the map. There are other parcels that are there in Annabelle, obviously.
So this is in Annabelle, though, right? No, it is. It's behind, Ash Ponds.
And the replatting is totally up to you guys, but we will, you know, if we get that estimate, I would try to find the least expensive, most efficient way to accomplish that. But like Abby said, if you're gonna do multiple developments by multiple developers, you kind of have to have multiple properties to
accommodate that. Yeah, I think we should do it right, and we're gonna look at it. I make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
All right, with a motion and a second to approve, no questions, comments, concerns from the board, will move the vote.
Yes.
Yes.
All right, so moves. Next is going to be lift station.
I'm seeking approval of a quote for parts for the lift station, from Newterra in the amount of $2,352.
I make a motion.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
All right, with a motion and a second, no questions, comments, concerns from the board, will move the vote.
Cheap way to go, they have a machine shop working on it. So it's gonna save us money.
All right, so moved. Next is going to be the heater for the shop. Heaters.
We have an estimated quote from Empathy Services. And we need 2 heaters. Each heater is $3,610. That's to heat the, one of the shops for the maintenance department, for the water and sewer department, water street sewer department. Their heater is broken and currently it's a hazard. It's letting CO2 back into the system, into the building. So in order to fix that, we're seeking permission.
Not all at once.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
All right, with a motion and a second to approve, no questions, comments, concerns from the board, will move the vote.
Yes.
Yes.
All right, so moved. Next is going to be a pressure washer to the public works.
Our street superintendent, stated that we had an old pressure washer, that currently broke. It's the pressure washer they use to clean off, their big heavy equipment, in the yard. And so they're seeking permission to purchase a new one. It needs to be a heavy duty one. So the amount for that is $3,990. It's just. There's another quote. There's a couple of quotes and they're more expensive, so that is the cheaper.
Yeah, they do a pretty good job of doing their research, so I'll say that I'll approve. By that.
I'll second.
All right, with the motion and a second, no questions, comments, concerns from the board, will move the vote.
Yes.
All right, next is going to be the consent approval. We're doing payroll from February 22nd, 2024, and bills from February 24th.
I'll move to approve.
I'll second.
All right, with the motion and a second, no questions, comments, concerns from the board, will move the vote.
Yes.
Yes.
All right, so moves. Okay, again, keep in mind, there is no meeting on, the 18th of March, 2024, due to staff training. And then, please be reminded, we're doing the public hearing, for resolution 2024-03 on April 1st, 2024 at 6 p.m. And get a motion to adjourn.
I'll move.
Second.
All right, a motion and a second to adjourn, no questions, comments from the board. Will move the vote.
Yes.
Yes.
So moved. It is 8:02. Thank you.
For what I'm picking myself is bad.